Russian man like inside the dark, call me Bill Snatcher. Just the brother for the rapture. I hang live, holding on strong, hard to capture. Extravagant, resurrect the track and it's militant. And I react like a garden and start killing. It's manifesting. The God's work like appliances, dealing in my sight like a lot.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another discussion for Boruto Naruto Next Generations, the manga. And for anime only fans, this is a time of the month where a lot of the content that we talk about here on the channel is going to be spoiler heavy, so I thank you for your support. However, if you're still here, I'm assuming you guys are all caught up with the manga and you do not care about spoiler discussions. So getting into the actual topic, I want to talk to you guys about this idea that Boruto is going to get his scar during this fight. This is one of those things that ever since we saw Boruto in the time skip during the flash forward sequence of chapter 1 of the manga or episode 1 of the anime, Boruto as a 16-year-old teenager had a scar over his eye, and that's been the biggest running mystery of the entire series, which is how did Boruto get his scar? That's running right alongside of how did Boruto get his Jogan eye. And when you guys hit me up on Patreon and you ask me how likely do I think it is that Sasuke Uchiha is the one who gives Boruto the scar over his eye, and that it happens in this battle right here. And in particular, you wanted me to kind of look at the lines that were set up in the Boruto anime. And I'll say this, the way that the anime tends to foreshadow stuff for the manga better than the manga actually does it. Case in point, the fact that Code was revealed to be a vessel of Ishiki. You had more foreshadowing of that in the anime than you did in the manga. I'm gonna say on a scale from 1 to 10, I give this a 6.5. I think that this is moving closer and closer towards, if 5 is average and 6 is good and 7 is very good, I think that we're getting closer and closer towards a very good chance. I'm still not quite there at it being a very good chance of possibility, but the anime did have that passing line where Sasuke tells Naruto, like, hey, if Boruto ends up being taken over by Momoshiki, if that happens again, I'm not going to hesitate. I'm going to come through and I'm going to kill Boruto. I'm not going to allow this kid who I swore as his teacher to protect him, and who I swore as his teacher if he ever got taken over again, that I would not allow him to harm people that he cared about. That's something your son was afraid of. I'm going to honor his wishes. And that led to that moment where Naruto's getting very upset at Sasuke, saying that isn't it their job as parents to find a way to find other alternatives than to harm either their children? Sasuke's thinking about the bigger picture, and I think that this could be really good conflict right here. And the fact that in this manga chapter we saw how Naruto was already put into a situation where Code's holding Shikamaru hostage. He can't necessarily attack back. He can defend himself, but he can't attack back. And BoruShiki was getting ready to use that massive rasengan that Kawaki was afraid would kill Naruto. We know that Sasuke is out there looking for Code. And now that you got rasengans being fired all over the place, if Sasuke was still in the general vicinity of the Hidden Leaf Village, which I do believe he would be, Sasuke would have already turned corner and started his way towards making his way towards the battlefield, because these were not small rasengans that Momoshiki was shooting off when he was in control of Boruto's body. You could argue maybe the thunderclap arrows that Boruto was using were too small to get somebody's attention, but these are huge radius rasengan explosions. This is enough to get Sasuke's attention, and if Sasuke shows up and sees BoruShiki fighting against Naruto, sees that Code is being held hostage by Shikamaru, Sasuke's gonna make a beeline towards BoruShiki. And it's in character that Sasuke, once he's got his mind made up to do something like that, is going straight forward. Perfect examples of this would be how younger versions of Sasuke, like the one that you saw in the War Arc 16 years before the events of this battle here, Sasuke saw Obito after the Jubi got extracted from him. He's like, okay, time to chop this dude's head off. The same thing with Madara when he saw Madara was getting ready to be talked to by Hashirama after a battle with Kaguya. Sasuke's like, okay, time to go chop this dude's head off. Sasuke, for better or for worse, once he has his mind made up to do something, Sasuke tries to see everything through unless somebody stops him. And this idea that right now Sasuke is going to have to hold up his promise to Boruto. That is something I think that you could use as a way to have it with the Scar, where if Sasuke once again tries to fight Boruto and he's got it in his mind the intention to try and kill Boruto, but because of the bond between master and student, because this is the firstborn child of his best friend, Sasuke at the last minute hesitates, and that's how Boruto gets the Scar. I think that that could be good writing. I think that that could be really good writing. I think that could be a huge emotional payoff, and I think that that would be something that not too many people would be too upset with if Sasuke was the one that gave Boruto his Scar, and it was done under those circumstances right there, especially once we get into the anime adaptation of this, where the anime is going to save this scene. I think that if that is the route that it goes, it's something that could definitely work. And I think that it kind of puts the onus back on Naruto, where Naruto's Hokage, he knows that he's running out of time with his son. Those pills that Boruto in the manga continuity has been taking for less than a month, they're not working. Momoshiki is back taking control. He's got to try and find alternative ways to try and save his son. And I think that this could start a greater sense of urgency right there. I think that this could also put Naruto in a situation where he's got to try and weigh his situation as father against his situation as Hokage. And because Sasuke talked a big game and was never ultimately able to follow through with it himself, I think this could be something that does a lot in terms of raising the stakes and giving us more conflict. The only thing I worry about right now is that there's a lot going on in the battlefield. You have Shikamaru being held hostage if Sasuke shows up and ends up having a fight against BoruShiki. You also got Naruto there. You got Kawaki with the Karma Seal. There's way too many moving parts on here, and that's the only reason why I'm looking at this and I'm saying I don't know if we're going to have a situation like that, where you have this many battles going on all at once. If this was Masashi Kishimoto and he was drawing it, then I would be a little bit more confident, because the way he handled the legendary Sannin three-way deadlock, where you had multiple battles taking place all at once, that was something that the flow didn't feel like it was being overwhelmed in the manga continuity. However, if you have a three-way deadlock here where you have Code versus Sasuke, where you have Code versus Naruto, where you have Boruto versus Kawaki, and then you potentially have Boruto versus Sasuke when Sasuke shows up, and if Shikamaru's joining in there, I think that might be a little bit too much for Ikimoto. So if Ikimoto can pull this off, I will tip my hat to him. I am very doubtful in his capability to do something like that, and I think that that's the only way that this scenario would work. So again, I'm giving this a 6.5 in terms of likelihood. However, I want to know from you guys, what are you guys' thoughts on this? Let me know down in the comment section below. But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.